Hey there YouTube, this is XM-24 bringing another knife review, and a bit longer than normal, but I just wanted some extra time with this one before I did the review on it. So the knife is a Hinderer, obviously. It is the XM-24 with the Bowie blade. So the XM knives in general tend to be pretty big and beefy. You know, the 24 is a big knife, pretty beefy knife, so is the Eclipse, so is the XM-18, 3.5 inch. And you think that this is a pretty stout knife when you get it, but then this thing dwarfs it. So we'll look at those later. But basically, some things on this. It has the same steel as the other XM knives have had as of late. S35VN, I believe it's 60 to 61 Rockwell. This knife has a simple black G10 scale and stonewash finish. Originally I had thought I was going to leave it tipped down, but after carrying it that way for a few days I switched it to tip up, and I don't regret it. It's nice. The overall quality of this knife is quite good. Earlier this year, Hinderer moved to a larger production facility, and the quality on this knife is just as good as my older Hinderers are. So a few things on this are the action. The detent is quite strong on this knife, the strongest of any Hinderer that I've had, but it has loosened up a bit. It's much easier to flip. When I first got it out of the box, it was quite difficult to flip, admittedly. Took a pretty big callus in my finger to get used to that, but you know, other than that, the design is quite good. I have pretty large hands, so just to, for reference, this is a 3.5 inch XM-18 slicer grind, and that's how big the handle is on me. But this is the 24, and you can see there's a lot more room. But the main, for me at least, the main places you feel the difference in size between these two are the height, if you will. So as you can see, the 18 is a good bit. It's not as tall, and especially the handle width is a bit wider on the 24, so it's a bit easier to hold on to. I feel this would definitely be a much better knife to use with gloves. Because another thing too is that the flipper itself is physically larger, as you can see there. So bigger flipper. The blade is thicker. This thing is about I believe it's like 0.185 or 0.19 inches thick. It's about that much. You can look up the exact stats, but it's pretty darn stout. The centering is, as you'd expect from Hinderer, quite good. And the tip on this knife is it's pretty sharp, I have to admit. It's a quite... you'd think it would be very very fine with a tip like this. It looks like a fine tip, but it's actually much stouter in person, especially with how it flares out a bit at the tip there. So, very nice overall. Really, there's not much else to say. I mean, it's just a fantastic knife. It's, you know, you can't go wrong with one of these. It's definitely a big knife, though. I'll be showing some size comparisons to that effect. So, I think for EDC, for most people, the 3.5 is going to be just fine, because this thing is quite a pocketful. Again, it's taller and wider, but it's also thicker in this dimension. I can show the difference from that really quick. And that's where you kind of feel the, there we go. So you can see, you can see that there is definitely a similarity. You know, they're similar, but this one, the 24, is just a bit thicker. Show it from this side, maybe. So definitely, not as easy as I thought to show this, but it's, here we go. So you can see it's definitely thinner, the 18, which makes it much more pocketable. After you carry this for a bit, you don't tend to feel it. This is definitely noticeable. It's about 8 ounces in weight too, so it's definitely one thick knife. There are some interesting things with the 24 though. The pivot screws on the 18 3.5 and the 24 are the same. And the screws are the same size in terms of the threads, but it's just longer than the 24. Same pocket clip, same filler tab. They've made 24s in a handful of blade shapes, not as many as the 18. I mean, the 18 3.5 inch has, they make every blade shape in that size, but for the 24, it's just been available in Spanto, Slicer, and as of late, Skinner and Bowie. And for me, I mean, I always liked the Bowie shape. It was always one of my favorites back when it was just a custom only shape, but happy to see it on the 18 3.5s, and when I saw the 24s, I thought that's real nice. I like that. So overall, very good EDC. If you want a larger EDC knife, I think this is a good bet. And not much else to say on that front. But let's get some size comparisons here. So some closed ones first. So that's a large Sabenza, a Les George VECP2. Move those over a bit so we can have more room. A Strider SNG. The 24 is about comparable to a Strider SMF. So we'll move these out of the way for a moment. And similar in size, overall length, in terms of the overall length, is a Spyderco Military and a Cold Steel Voyager, the large Voyager. So yeah, you can see those there. They're about the same size. These, they're all 4-inch blades. The Voyager especially has the similar blade shape. Get to that in a moment. So let's compare these blades. It may look like the 24 is smaller, but it's just perspective for the camera. I can assure you they're all the same length. But the main difference on these isn't the length; it's the size, especially when you compare these. So the Voyagers tend to be thought of as a pretty stout knife. So when you compare the 24, though, that's quite a stout blade, quite thick. Especially between that and the Military. The Military is a very fine tip, as you can see, and the 24 is much thicker. I also like the swedge in the blade there. It looks real nice. So overall, like I said, great knife. And the nice thing too with Hinderers nowadays is the market's drastically changed on them. It used to be that you could only buy these at shows and win at lotteries, but you can buy them online now for the same price, and if anything, you can actually find them for cheaper. So for this knife, I bought it at a USA made blade. You can check out the unboxing video for that, and they offer a discount to USN members site-wide, with one or two exceptions, which this one is not a part of. So you can get these for, discounts, which is kind of nuts. I remember seeing knives like this go for, just standard production knives go for hundreds of dollars over retail. So it's definitely an interesting time for these knives. It's great if you're just a person like me, you just you don't really buy these for investments, you just buy them because you like them. I just like Hinderer knives. I've owned a bunch of different knives, and for me, it's just a good combination of heft and quality without being, prohibitively expensive. I mean, some knives can get up to $1,000. These are about $550 right now. So, and that's $550. I believe that's with the discount code. You can get them for about $550. Might be a bit more nowadays, like $560, $570, but yeah, they're in that range. They're quite good. So if you're in the market for a big knife and you want, maybe you don't want an SMF, definitely a great option with the XM-24, especially with that Bowie point. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.